freaking bejesus! What an incredible little amplifier this is! This is another amplifier by the wonderful people at RedStuff. The wonderful people being Stefan Huther, who is RedStuff Amplification. He's a really good friend of mine, and he just makes such wonderful, wonderful, wonderful products. So when he messaged me and said, I would love for you to try out one of my tube amps and do a video for it, I was like, yeah, just send it over, dude. Send it over quickly. And I've had this for a few weeks, and wow, what an amazing, amazing little amp. So this is the Revelator. And when Stefan messaged me, he said, this is my take on the Brown sound. And boy, does it kind of nail that sound. Hence the track, Lil Ain't Enough, Lee Roth, Jason Becker. I'm teaching one of my students to play this at the moment, so you know, it just made sense to do a cover of this, because this amp is perfect for that tone. It's that era, and it just sounds so wonderful. So the spec of the amp, it's a single channel amp which is actually switchable. There's a switch on the gain here which you can pull out, and it activates a second section of one of the preamp tubes and gives it more gain. Fantastic how that's done in a single channel amp. So it kind of makes it a two-channel amp in a sense. It's got a shared EQ on it, so you have a bass, a mid and a high, also the usual controls of gain and the volume control as well, which controls the master volume. And this is really effective when you actually boost it. You know, you get power amp distortion as well, and it's done in the most wonderful way. But it also has some wonderful additional features. It has a blend control, which is a blend between presence and depth, so it either cuts or boosts the high end or the low end, and it's a really effective knob. The Brilliance knob is absolutely fantastic as well. What it does, it helps you to tame any harsh high end, so kind of an addition to the presence, but it works in a slightly different way, where you have kind of, you know, if you want a really presency trebly type of sound, then boost the Brilliance and it's going to give you this really shiny sound. But you can also take that high end off by actually turning it down, which is just wonderful. Also has a switchable tone stack on it as well. So this push-pull on the high control here, it changes the tone stack value just a little bit, so you get the tone stacks from two classic kind of amps like a Plexi or a JTM 45. And it also has a low cut right on the front here. Very effective this control is, because what it does is it takes away any of the boominess that you might have when you're playing. Beautiful controls. You can dial in so many fantastic sounds on this. Now it's a 50 watt amp, which is actually switchable down to 25 watts, 18 watts or 9 watts, so you can actually, you know, put it down to 9 watts and run the volume really hot, so that you're getting the power amp distortion as well. Running 3 12AX7 WA tubes in there, and also 4 6P 1P EV power tubes in there. Now they're slightly different power tubes. They're kind of similar to 6V6 power tubes, but Russian military grade, absolutely fantastic. And when I've been speaking to Stefan about them, he explained that they are just much higher grade, so last quite a long time and just sound absolutely fantastic. I can attest to that, because they do sound absolutely phenomenal. So on the back of the amp you have a port for a Footswitch, which switches out the either the high gain mode or the regular low gain mode there. It also has 2 ports for speakers. You can run the speakers at either 4 ohms, 8 ohms or 16 ohms, and the switch at the back, which you can switch between the 4 and 8 or the 16 ohms, whichever you want to run. Then you have the power attenuation switch between the 50, 25, 18 and 9 watts, whichever you want to run. I'm actually running it at 50 watts at the moment. I'm running it through my 2 notes captor, and running it straight into my interface and using impulse responses. Wanted to run it at 50 watts so I could just really kind of dial up the volume and stuff, and just get the full complement of tubes kind of glowing in there. Alright, after that you have a pre and post master switch. Now what this does is puts the effects loop either before or after the master volume. So you get a different response from the effects loop and whatever effects you're actually running with the amplifier, depending on where you have the switch, and it is really effective. Then you have a level for the effects as well, so you can dial up the level that you want with the effects that you're using, and then the ports for the send and return for the effects loop itself. And the final switch at the back is a sag switch. Now what this does is switches the amp to a more kind of tube rectifier type of sound, so it loosens up the low end. So again, you can kind of tailor your sound. If you want kind of that vintage plexi-ish type of sound, then you can put the sag on and it's going to loosen up that low end. If you want it tighter, then you can turn it off, and also in conjunction with the low cut, you can get a really tight sound out of this amp. Just such a wonderful sound. It did such a great job on Lil Ain't Enough, the cover that I've just done. And I also used the Revision 2 Boost, which is by RedStuff as well. Stefan specifically made it for me. It's got my name on the back, yay! Wonderful boost pedal, and it's just a clean boost. It has some pretty funky controls on it. You actually have two different types of tone stacks on there, and also a saturation, so it adds a little bit of saturation. Now this isn't a high gain kind of boost control at all or anything like that. It really is quite a subtle control. Very effective. You've got the tone control between bass and treble, then the no saturation volume, and then you've got the volume as well. So between the three controls, and also switching between neutral, tone A and tone B, you can get some pretty cool boost sounds out of this as well. And I use that on just the lead part, the main lead part, and the ending lead part, which you heard on the cover. So I'm going to run you through some basic sounds on this, and then I'm going to give you the isolated tracks from the cover that I just did, which was custom built for me by Kevin Proctor at Iconic Guitars. I love this guitar. It's such a cool guitar. Practically plays itself. It's absolutely stunning. Anyways, alright, so I've got everything at 12. I'm on the low gain mode at the moment, and this is the sound we're going to get right now. Really cool, clean sound there. So let's start playing around with the controls. Alright, I'm going to boost the volume, and you'll see how the power section starts to distort now. Alright, let's up the gain a little bit. Now I'm still in low gain mode at the moment, so that's quite a lot of gain. If I max out the gain, even on this channel, the low gain, I'm going to call it, it's still got plenty of gain in there. Alrighty, I'm going to start playing around with the controls, a little bit less highs, more mids, and I'll leave it there for now. Cool. Alrighty, so the low cut, I'm going to decrease it down to its minimum, so you'll see how the bass really kicks in. And if I go the other way, it actually cuts the low end. I like it in kind of about the 12 o'clock position, maybe one less, so the sound is relatively tight. Alright, blend control. I'm going to turn it all the way down first. All the way up. So I like to keep it around 1 o'clock. And then the Brilliance control, if I turn it all the way down, the sound gets quite dark. And then all the way up. So you can really tailor the sound as to how you like it. I like to keep it about 12 o'clock there. Should we do the high gain channel? Yeah! You know you want to hear this. If I max out the gain, super coolness there. Alright, I am gonna switch the sag on now so that you can hear the difference between the amp when the sag switches off and now it's on. So instantly there's a different feel to the sound, you know, the low end is reacting differently. The sound is a little bit rounder as well. A little bit of drop in volume, so I can boost the volume. Alrighty, the last thing on here is the push-pull for the tone stack, so I'm going to do that now. So tone stack as it is. And pulling the knob. And back in. It's a little bit less treble and on the pulled out tone stack, the second tone stack. So there you go, guys. This is an amazing little amplifier, and there are some tones for you. Alright, I'm going to give you the isolated tracks so you can check them out, all the recorded tones that I did on that cover of Lil Ain't Enough, which was just such fun to do. I love playing that track. And such a great solo. And obviously Jason Becker, just an absolute sweetheart and an incredible talent. Alright guys, have a fantastic day. Any questions or comments, please do leave them in the comments box below. If you haven't done so already, please do subscribe to the channel and give it a thumbs up as well. And you can also find me on Patreon as well if you would like to join up and get a backstage pass to some backstage stuff and the secret stuff which I do, which you don't find out about here for a long time before my Patreon is due. Yeah. Alright guys, have a fantastic day. Here are the isolated tracks, and huge thanks to Stefan for sending this over for me to check out. It's been so much fun. So here are the isolated tracks for you. Have a great day guys. See you later. Bye!